Sure. That's crazy. And I can confirm that the Cape Town market is absolutely mad at the moment. And I don't think it's showing any signs of slowing down for various reasons. We Cape Town has a big influx of foreigners. Look, say what you will about it, they're bringing a lot of foreign currency in and creating a lot of tourism jobs. Yeah, it's we're caught between a rock and a hard place, eh? Because the influx of the foreign nationals is just it's pushing the locals into the the outward outlying areas. I can confirm that even living not so much in the Cape Town city centre, but that the pricing is quite hectic, and it's all because of competition. The KZN's luxury hotspot, where a 17 million rand house would have cost over 100 million in Cape Town. Areas to the north of Durban are benefiting from heightening. So that's the north coast of KZN, and it's beautiful there. It's we used to holiday there frequently, my wife and I. But I can understand it. 750 rand per month relief for homeowners. Wonder what that's all about. You click back there. There. 3 guesses what's happening here. Europeans are flocking to the South African city. Well, the picture gives it away. It'd be interesting to see, and before I scroll, we had a function on Friday where a representative from ABSA spoke to us, and he spoke of something that I've been saying is coming within the first couple of months, is the reverse immigration trend. It's a phenomenon. And 5 years after COVID, a lot of people still think that they call it the 2019 the 2019 event. For us in South Africa, we went into lockdown March 2020. So for us, it's like 5 years old. So people took a nomadic approach, moved to the coast, the Eastern Cape, the Western Cape, because they still worked for Gauteng companies, but they could work from home, so work remotely. And what ended up happening is the commercial property market, specifically the office sector, tanked because there was no need for office space. And now what we're finding is the corporates are issuing a mandatory return to office. I think that's one element of it, but I know for sure the other element is that people are looking for cheaper alternatives. I am raising my hand. I can say that I fall in that category, going back to Joburg for many reasons, but a big pullback, apart from having family and a support structure for my young children and for my wife and I, is the affordability in terms of lifestyle and housing. I'm not going to get into the details of what I pay rental down here in Cape Town, but I could get away with half of that in Johannesburg and still live a very good life. Don't let people knock Joburg. Yes, Cape Town has a lot. It has a lot of adventure, a lot of coffee culture, and a lot of beach space. But Joburg has a lot to offer too. And I am a Joburger, and I will always defend Joburg. I love it. I love it. New shopping mall opening in South Africa this month. No, not interesting. Top South African private school could lose its land. There's a claim going in about Hilton for this land expropriation. Interesting to see what happens there. New 2 billion rand lifestyle estate launching in South Africa next month. New record for the average rent paid in South Africa. I'm going to touch on that just now. I'm actually going to open up and read that. I have got access to some of the national stats, the rental stats for Q4 of 2024, to see if they've got some stats that I haven't had a look at. But 10 to 1, they've got the same source I do. So we'll see. Big shift in where South Africa. I can guarantee you that Cape Town remains number one, but there'll be surprises in that article. Criminals after 2 items. That looks like clickbait. Doesn't matter. Criminals will take what they want. One South African province where rental prices shot up. Surprise, I can tell you it was Limpopo. Limpopo. Surprising, hey? Top South African shopping mall in serious trouble. Big trouble ahead for landlords in South Africa. That could make for an interesting read. Yep, people stealing water meters. That's been happening. I look at 50 million rand villa. ShopRite selling more malls, renting versus buying a house in South Africa. The winner is clear. That, I think, for the spirit of what I do. Let's have a look at that. Okay, so article published on the 19th of Feb 2025 by Business Tech, and the author is Malcolm Libera. Sorry if I got his name wrong. Buying a home is a much better investment than renting and investing the savings in the equity market. The debate between renting and buying a home in South Africa is long contentious, with arguments on both sides, and I can agree to that. There are arguments on both sides, specifically for the flexibility that renting allows you. Look there. Argue for flexibility, fewer financial burdens, and the ability to invest excess cash in more productive assets. Who are we fooling, guys, with the cost of living, the cost of petrol and groceries, and the likes? I think where he's talking to that is that for the last year, rental growth has outpaced inflation, and that's nominal. It's not real. It's the nominal graphs. I think if we adjusted for actual inflation and actual buying power of the rand, I think that could be argued, because I'm not seeing it on the ground. What savings? There are no savings unless you cut back on lifestyle. And tell you what, with 3 kids, cutting back on lifestyle is quite tough. But it's a decision we're going to have to take. And then if there are savings, trust me, I'm going to deploy savings. But we'll see what happens there. Financial comparison between renting and buying to see which option provides the best long-term return. Well, renting a property is not an asset class. It's an expense. No, interesting comparison based on actual market. So if you're gonna compare it with actual market data or data or whatever, which option provides the best long-term return, even if you quote unquote get savings for renting, which the average South African does not, because the cost of living. I could go into a rant, but anyway, the clear winner is for owning the real estate, owning the property, depending on where, because there are some areas, where equity, the value of the property has not grown. It's stagnant. It's the same. What I could buy, let's just talk about Berea in Johannesburg city center. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. You can pick up an apartment there for 150,000 rand, obvious reasons. But here's the kicker. 150,000 rand bond is nothing. You can still rent that apartment out for maybe between 3,500 to 5,000 rand, depending on how good it is and where in Berea it is. But there you generate positive cash flow, even after expenses and paying the bond. It's not something they're considering here. They're taking middle income neighborhoods. And if you're going to look at middle income, Business Tech must maybe and I'm not knocking you guys, so please, it's just my personal opinion. Business Tech should maybe go and have a look at their data, because there's a lot of articles about how the middle class is being squeezed. And I can guarantee you the middle class is compared with the top end. They like to compare all three tiers: middle class, top class, lower class, or like, okay, so let's just say the poor, the middle income, and the super rich. They compare and they try and, yeah. Look, there's precedent and there's credence to what they're doing, but yeah. Okay, 2-bedroom apartment in Broad Acres. There we go. Popular residential in Joburg. Comparison is based on 20-year for a bond, intending to live in the property rather than investing for rental. Average price 950. I'm actually going to be doing a video with a calculator to show you how to tap into your primary residential equity to start participating in the rental market as a landlord. Let's have a look after that. Assuming the buyer could secure a 100% home loan, prime lending rate of 11%, 20-year, bond of 9. There we go. Additional bond costs. Yeah, we know about that. 478 rand a month. Estimates maintenance. That is foolish. 1%. That is so super conservative. I would say, and if anyone that is a landlord, correct me, but I would say that you should be budgeting between 3 and 5% for maintenance contributions on a monthly basis. So this is a very conservative, and I think this exercise is conservative to make the model work for whatever reason. Okay, adjusted for inflation, 4.5%. Yeah, there we go. Look there, 780 over 20 rand per month over 20 years. The rental side, an observed market rental of 9150 per month based on actual market data, with the rental yields 11.52%. Bond registration. Okay, okay. So I can see some of it, that the bond registration cost, instead of you having to fork that up, what were you going to do if you put that 42K into a Standard & Poor's 500 index? So let's see. Initially, the buyer paid 1959 per month, and the renter, renter had an extra 1959 to invest in the S&P 500 each month. On paper, in theory, the reality is that the average renter doesn't think like that. It's good to have theories, but let's get real, guys. Sure, an extra 2,000 rand a month. Or maybe give my kids a little bit better food than just having pasta every second night. Just saying. But the wise me would agree with that. I would actually, if there was a translated saving there and I did have 2,000 rand in the budget, I would apply the principles from the book The Richest Man in Babylon and put that away. I don't even see that. That must go into an investment portfolio to build up cash flow, to make a down payment on a property. So again, I think they were also assuming no deposit. They were, 100. They assumed the 100% loan. And there's a strategy. I mean, everyone's trying to talk about buying property with no money down and blah blah blah. It's definitely an avenue, definitely a vehicle, definitely a means to an end, but not the only way. I mean, if you're going to invest that amount, right, and you then put it down towards down payment, because then what will end up happening is if you make a bigger down payment on the property, what's going to happen? This monthly bond repayment will go down. It will be less. Say, for argument's sake, excuse the noises, 8,000 rand a month. Then arguably there's a positive cash flow in the landlord's pocket of about the same amount, actually. That extra 2 grand in cash flow would be in the landlord's pocket. So definitely pay to play. Put a bigger deposit down, create a bit of equity in the property for yourself, a bit of breathing room, decrease your financial obligations. Don't throttle your risk profile with the banks and have a lower loan to a lower debt ratio, you can do it again. We can spend so much time on this. That's why I think, me posting videos versus going live, I can spit facts. Anyway, so yeah, renting is the winner in that argument. At the same time, property appreciation work in the buyer's favor. Home values historically increased at the average annual rate of 8.13%. Property will always go up in the long term. Important to factor in real property growth in line with inflation. The reality, if you take that factor, these are nominal. I'm almost 100% sure these are nominal growth rates. If you're going to real with inflation factored in, it's actually a darker picture. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but like I said, in the long run, property always ends up going up. You're just going to make sure that it tracks faster than inflation or higher than inflation. Meanwhile, despite investing initial surplus in the S&P, the rent had a total wealth of only 1.12 million. Highlights a compounding effects of property appreciation and stable home ownership costs. A long-term financial perspective, buying a house is a much better investment than renting. Bing, 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 guys. Common sense. Common sense prevails. But it was a good read. Not knocking the author here. But I'm ringing the bell of common sense with having been in the industry for 12 years. So it's unfair for me to actually say it's common sense prevailing, because it's my common sense prevailing to that because of my experience. But to the untrained person who doesn't know any better, then sure, read that. There's definitely value in this. Okay, look at that buyer. Renter. Yeah, but that makes sense. And over a period of what? 31 months. The reality is, though, that looks like such an amazing number. Factor in for inflation, my guy, that's not the same there at that point. That 8 million rand over there is not worth 8 million rand as it is today. It will be worth a lot less. Factor in for inflation always, guys. And if you don't know how to do that, maybe do some Googling, some ChatGPT or Gemini, whichever, and just educate yourselves on how to factor for inflation when forecasting prices. It's scary, actually, what ends up happening. Must read, where to watch the budget speech. I'm not going to go into the doom and gloom there. Big change, a prominent South African municipality. Okay, cool. Let's go and check what other property. Johannesburg Roadhouse to a dilapidated building. That's not good news. Can enjoy a stable retirement. I did an exercise on Alan Gray's website about a week ago, and that was also so depressing, and it actually talks always factor in for inflation. I wanted to put in an amount on a monthly basis towards a retirement annuity with a bit more of an aggressive approach, because it's going to be over 30, 35 years. And I put in an 8% clause so that I ensure that my contributions on a year-to-year basis. And the scary thing is about that is that in real terms, in today's money, in today's value, because of inflation, I think I would have at that point maybe 8 million rand in retirement savings. Okay, cool. Today's money, we're like, wow, 8 million is not that bad. You can actually, Flip, I've got 10 years of life left. I think I can make that work. Yeah, it will be enough to see me through retirement. Wrong. After 33 years, if I retire with that 8 million there, today's money, it will be 980,000 Rand in retirement savings. How crazy is that? I did another calculation, changed it up a little bit, ended up saying in 33 years, I'd have 27 million Rand in retirement savings. I was like, oh, that's a better number. Wrong. It translated to something like 5 million in today's money. wild, guys. They don't talk about inflation enough in school. I really, really, really wish I had stuck out and just, 10% of my income from the day I started working just goes into a retirement annuity. It would be a lot more. Apparently, I did some crazy calculation on that website. I would have ended up with like 120 million rand. Factored in for inflation, even though you factor in for inflation, that's still a lot of money. Should have done it, could have done it. Hindsight is 20/20 vision. Key point in an international battle. Town shopping mall getting sold. Most valuable brands. Business. Major South African chicken producer sends warning to government. Oh, look at that. Okay. So that was interesting. That was interesting. Guys, thank you for your time. I suppose that a lot of you will be joining and watching the stream after it's aired. No joiners today, but we remain positive. If you're watching after the fact, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again soon.